Hello everyone, this is TTR and we again back on Venus. So off the camera I did a little bit of modification to the base, but not much. And if you see the ending of the last episode, you probably saw it that I found a trader that had eyes. Now, while I was working over here, I obviously was checking once in a while what we have over here on the trader console, and I found am I melting or I am melting, and that's not good. And what I saw was there was a trading that potentially have a water ice. I just called him down. Him, her, it's a robot. And later on, I just went and checked and has it right. So we do have a couple of stacks of ice in our vending machine. Uh, some of them might be smaller ones because it just runs. But bottom line, we're building the ice crusher here. So I did a few other things. I'm gonna go with those and explain what I did and what this needs to be done as we go. But let's start from this one, right? So what we will need to have is obviously the ice crusher, and I'm gonna pretty much put it facing the vending machine, but not directly in front or anything like this. I'm gonna actually shift it, to the side. The reason is there will be chutes coming over here and then upwards, so I can actually stand up here and have access to the buttons. So I'm gonna put it in about here, right? The vending machine requires iron sheets and I think cable coil. We have some of the iron sheets from the construction. Oops, yep. And we're gonna use the cable coil. It's too many of them. Right, so we don't need those for time being. What we are actually having over here, it's a little bit of a pipe. So this is gas pipe. Now we won't be smelting we won't be processing anything else except water ice. But water ice do release nitrogen, right? So we need to actually have the gases to be ejected or vented. Now, the reason I'm putting actually not pressure regulator but back pressure regulator is the way ice crusher will work. It actually will be crushing ice, and the gases and the water in the system will be pretty much equalized to whatever is connected to the network. So if I just directly connected this to like storage tank or whatever, slowly some of the materials will be staying inside the ice crusher. This will pretty much slowly vent them, so all of this will be pushed to our network. Very similar we're gonna do with our water network, so to speak. We have some pipes over here. Now, as you can see, I am using insulated pipes, but all of this, and I'm gonna, tag in more details. So tank and the pipes over here for water are not insulated. The reason is I don't expect them to be really cared about the temperature, right? There will be room temperature anyway. The gases over here and the water will be hydration critical. I think for about 5 degrees. So if the water raised to 20 or even 30 degrees from the room over there, I'm absolutely fine with this one, right? They also help a little bit of cooling. The gases also might be, the same thing, but it's a bit of a habit. Plus, I'm probably gonna put a tank with the nitrogen somewhere externally, just to have like additional storage. Mixing pipes, not really, something I like, but it might happen over there, right? We're gonna put very similar construction over here, but we're gonna lead, this way. And it's buck volume regulator. Now, funny is this is pressure based, so it's effectively what's the output, and we set this to 0. While what is the output fulliness, and we set it to 100%. They are the opposite way, right? So this is pretty much said what pressure you want to have left in input towards the output. even says output, unless they change this at some stage. While this effectively says how much the output pipe meant to be full. So there's a little bit of confusion around here, but it's easier to get grip of them after that, right? The reason I also want to have them sort of accessible, on occasion when I won't be doing any of the ice crushing, there is no like a switch really in the game, but I will be just cutting a cable that goes, the power cables that goes over here, to conserve power. But since I will be having this on open view, I can just turn off those on the switches. But like if you put this more compact, you might actually have this behind the tank or behind the ice crusher. So it's good to have an option to ability to cut that power. Now I'm gonna put the pipe towards the technically landing pipe, but I'm probably gonna yank this, all the way over here and maybe just put the tank somewhere behind this window. Not the best view, but didn't plan to have it. There is also the situation that this pipe will be storage zones. Now the nitrogen that we'll be having, as a byproduct of this ice, I'm gonna be putting in this room because I'm planning to have some soybean plants and they consume nitrogen. It's not mandatory to have nitrogen as far as I know, but it's good to have, right? Because they do consume. Let me just work on the cabling. Okay. In the same time, we also gonna add chutes. So let me do them this way. Come on. Two extra, that's absolutely fine. Pretty much I'm gonna keep this disabled to not overblow this pipe, right? But what we need to do is, and it's pretty much impossible now to have this button, right, reachable over here because of the collisions of the chutes. So if I like put this one on back, then I could have this one straight or just put the bend over here. But if I put the bend over here, I will not have access to this button, which is actually something I want to have. There we go, right? Now, keep in mind, it's vacuum right now in this room, but this room does have some temperature or some pressure, right? And you might wonder, hold on, this is not a refrigerated unit. How it is that this ice didn't melt it? Well, the vending machine is actually insulated, like 100%, right? So let me turn it off. So it has no atmosphere. It's pretty much vacuum. Refrigerator, it's also the same.
Pressure critical. Oxygen critical.
Refrigerator done. Refrigerated unit is also the same, but refrigerated unit keeps, whatever over there is like in minus 50 artificial or whatever. So it's not void, it's not like a vacuum. It keeps the food, the perishable food, actually preserved longer because vacuum actually causes it to decay faster, right? But for ice purpose, this is absolutely fine. Now, the chutes are working a little bit magically that if it's non-windowed, so it's like, pretty much the straight or bend one, they don't interact with the external atmosphere, and they anything that passed through them doesn't really is registered inside the world until it's stopped. So if I send one of those and heat it over here, it's gonna get to ice crusher, and that's it. If I then send second one, the second one will be collected in this, last piece of the chute, and then it will start interacting with the world. Now, if I did it right now, it actually start melting and venting the water into the room. This is why this will be kept as a vacuum in the end, right? Now, I might be dying, so I need to do one thing in the meantime, I need to upgrade the pipe bender so I can actually create CryoTube. Oh, we got the storm. The bug is still there.
Pressure critical. Oxygen critical. Pressure critical.
Now, here is a caveat. There is no frame underneath, right? So if I put here a pipe that's not insulated, it will be interacting with the external atmosphere. So this one, I'm actually gonna use an insulated. This is something that you need to be aware that any pipe lying on a corner like here where there is no frame from the other side, it will be interacting with or it can interact with the world, right? It doesn't need to go straight out. Like this one will be obvious because the bottom of the further part is outside, but this one, even if it's kind of bent inside in the confines of the room, it actually will be interacting with the external world, right? Okay, let me turn those two, and I'm gonna leave this space open. I don't know if I'm gonna put a valve over here or maybe pressure regulator just to put less water, although it doesn't really matter. In the end, this will be one probably unit. So or is this the other way around? No. Yeah, that pipe is filling up as intended. Right. No, sorry. I was wrong. This is also a percentage of the input, so it's name output on both. So this needs to be 0, the other needs to be 0. It's confusing me as always. So now we draining this pipe and we putting water over here, right? So that's a good news. So to recap, you just need a couple of chutes, ice crusher, it's constantly turned on, and back pressure and liquid back volume regulator, both set to 0, and that's it. So that's working slowly. We have ice supply. Now, you don't see the green crate over here with the food because it was moved. Let me just install this. And was moved to room where we will be growing food. CryoTube. What do we need for CryoTube? We have all of those. Let me just build it. So food is over here, and our seeds.
Pressure critical. Oxygen critical. Pressure critical. Oxygen critical. Air tank critical.
So second thing is something I noticed later on when I was finishing this part, those two units. The same story is over here. You know, these pipes are externally accessible. So the problem is the temperature is rising in this, you know, when I have any atmosphere. So I need to have them being insulated, right? So what I'm gonna do is remove those, and I'm gonna put the insulated equivalent over here. Now this also needs to be replaced, right? It's not only the one that are external, like, you know, this needs to be also replaced because all of this is external atmosphere. So I'm gonna put and get one more insulated pipe. I don't think I'll have it over there. Nope. Perfect. Go. We're gonna run over here. The light's
Hydration
gonna blink.
critical.
Okay, I put the CryoTube over here, but then I realized I will need to take off all my suit to get into it, so I need to actually finish this room first. In the past, you could just jump into the CryoTube, even if it's unpowered or whatever, but you cannot, you know, enter if you are wearing suit. You just need to be in your pretty much pants and a belt, I think, and nothing holding in your hands. So, okay, let's do that. For that, we need to finish an airlock. An airlock requires cabling and a setup. Right. There we go. I'm gonna label all of this. So this is airlock room door external. So for me, external is always towards the exit, which I think is a bit of normal idea, right? And this is vent internal, this is vent external. Uh, and we do need a sensor over here, obviously. Whoop, build one. Mm, right. There's absolutely, like, before you configure airlock, make sure one of the doors is closed, one is open, so the state of it will be sort of fine. Now, I always set both pressures to 0 at the beginning, and later on, I never set what's desired pressure. I'm getting the hit in the face, so to speak, right? Now you can filter devices and the whatever was before a colon I'm just gonna put as a filter and I can just go with it, right? So I have only those devices. Gas sensor, vent external, vent internal, door external, door internal, right? Thank you very much. Turn on the console, you're saving power, you can still operate it using, you know, those buttons, right? Obviously at the moment I don't really care about going through the airlock because we still need to finish, you know, this counterpart. So over here, you can see there are grow plots ready to go. To grow lights on the ground, I will be doing later on. This is gonna extend as we go. Uh, the reason I have to grow plots is there will be two type of plants and there will be a little bit of separation on the timer. I'm gonna put windows over here, right? Because it looks nice. Like this were normal wall steel, and as you can see, I just put those, and the lights disconnect, turn off over there because now those are separate rooms. We need, I think, plastic sheets and glass. Obviously, I don't know if I have a plastic sheets enough to finish those. Hopefully I might have exactly as I need. No, I need one more for that one, for a wall. Can I do it? I have no silicon. Great. I'm gonna be... Okay, window it is. We'll be having a nice view of a tank. It seems to be a theme over here. Going quickly through this one, I'm gonna go into details how this is pipe on the back later on, and it's not fully finished, but this is the external air that pretty much goes and filters out CO2, and that CO2, hot CO2, is being put into this segment, which will be, although it might be fully connected, will be connected to the room, so it will be supplying. Yeah, it's the same pipe network, so it's already connected. I did this on the back. It will be supplying CO2 inside the room, right? It's hot CO2, so we'll be cooling it later on with one of our cooling loops that's still to be finished, right? This will be breathable at some stage. So when it comes to our CryoTube, that means that this pipe input can be just a room content, right? And I'm gonna just pull it over here. You know what? If we are not dead yet, I'm gonna actually bring this closer over here. There's no point of having this CryoTube so further away. What do we need over here? Angle grinder. Now, if you place in CryoTube, make sure you don't put into the frame, and make sure that you have empty space from the platform you're stepping out. Otherwise, you'll be, spawned outside of this room. I had like a wall over here, so I usually always was spawning outside of the atmosphere, sorry, outside of the room, so inside the world atmosphere and dying. Yay, it was amazing. Getting the cryotube to heal yourself, and you ended up actually dying. Go. Right. Now, by the way, the reason I'm not planning to connect it directly to the O2 pipe is because when you are in cryotube, you breathe out CO2. So effectively, I want to connect this to our room. Now, we need to deal with the cooling before we do anything else in this room. So for the pump controller for the cooling, I'm gonna use Elmo's PID controller. He has length of videos, materials, how to use it. So there's a PID controller and a filter. There are certain things to set over here, right? Especially the KPTITD. Now, to understand this, you need to read about PID controllers. I have some vague understanding how this works. I should, tune this to what I'm looking for, like, and to be more optimal. But actually, with the standard values of those three, it actually works. And this is sort of how we can start it. If you see that it doesn't being too aggressive or it's too aggressive, you can tune those, it's to smooth it out and so on, right? The things we need to change is the set point, which is effectively a value of whatever sensor will be reading. Here is temperature in Kelvin to what we want to reach. And one of this is define min out with the max output. This is on what you're controlling. So for something like a vent or valve, this will be 0 and 1. For volume pump, which we put over there is 0 to 10, because volume pumps used to go to 100. Now it's actually liters between 1 and 10. The turbo volumes pump are going to 100, right? The set point is it's the temperature, right? So what we are looking for over there is, if I remember correctly, about 26 Celsius. So we are looking this to be 299. I'm gonna put this 300 Kelvin. Yeah, I remember it was probably 300, right? And I'm gonna pretty much confirm. Hey, quick note from the edit. I found out that this code actually was missing the one of the parameter. So the setting that is actually marked on the screen, it needs to be changed to whatever from the sensor will be reading. So over here will be a temperature. I figured out this one after I finished recording, but never ended up on the planned video. So I decided to actually jump in and actually mention and make a correction right now. So in this line that's marked, the settings over there needs to be changed, whatever we are monitoring. So temperature, if you're using the other stuff like actuators or also not, the below settings also needs to be changed. But since we won't be using it in this type of PID controller, those two ones are not important right now. So that's a thing that kind of got lost in the video. Pause. The second one is our oxygen tank, something that we want to cool to 250, as we discussed in previous episodes, right? So the set point is 250. Right, so just went out to label those two volume pumps. This obviously is not finished for two. I'm gonna finish this later on, but the back wall of this one is effectively, there's the power cable for the room. This is the pipe for the room temperature that goes to the cooling loop, and on the ceiling, this is the inlet, obviously, and let's go and finish that room cooling and see if it is actually gonna work correctly. If I set up this right, I think I did. We are on a ticking clock because we are a few helmets open away from dying, and that's absolutely not good. I'm gonna turn off the screen and I'm gonna grab the sensors that I print because we need sensors in the room. Yes. Thank you. So those are the two IC chips. The one is for room and the other one is for O2. Obviously O2 will be temporary non-functional, but that's absolutely fine. I'm gonna blip them, although the O2 doesn't have sensor really. So the first thing is meant to be, I think, sensor, right? Yes. So we are looking for juice sensor, gas sensor. And the second one is our pump that we are looking. So it will be right. Let me there we go. State 10. That means it tries to cool it down. I'm gonna fix this for a future. the PID control doesn't control turn on and off state. You need to turn them on. My bad. Oops. This way it wasn't cooling at all. I'm gonna turn this to 0 and leave this one on, even it's not connected, but yeah, this needs to be turned on. Now you can see temperature in this pipe network is flipping between 450 and 400 is because the CO2 is being constantly put in, but the pipe, this one is trying to cool. Like the T junction is minus 80, the coolant over here is minus 90. As you can see, this will be like much lower pressure, much less smaller value that would just skyrocket quickly to the positive temperatures. So this is now, you know, doing some work. This is keeping up. Yeah, this is now rising. You know, that was minus like 40 or something, right? So you can see the thermal energy is being transferred to this segment. This is rising now. Slowly it will be pushed over here. Like, this is also rising to 52, 53, and obviously this is being pushed to this segment. It also will be rising, but the radiators over here are gonna evict that slowly. We're gonna extend those a bit later on. Yeah. Now, what I'm now gonna do is something a little bit bizarre, right? I'm gonna eject all the contents from here, and I'm gonna actually push them into that room. I'm gonna do this by moving that vent over here. In fact, no. I'm gonna take this passive vent. I need a few more anyway later on, but I'm just gonna grab this one and I'm gonna place it here. This is functional. There is no ice over here because I didn't want to queue, and I'm gonna push this into the room. Go.
Hydration critical.
That was about 12 megapascals or something like this, right? So we're gonna evict all the contents from this pipe network into the room. Obviously, that 300 degrees something will be now brutally heating up this water, and whatever is in here doesn't matter. That one is will be deconstructed. Yeah, so that's empty. And we're gonna go and deconstruct all of this. And we're gonna place this in here. And effectively we're just gonna temporarily power this one. And we're gonna push all of that air over there. And when that's done, we're gonna remove all of this, and we'll be using the room inside for our eating and drinking, right? We can clean this. I'll be emptying my tank, and the short answer is, for time being, I'm just gonna do this. It's gonna have still some residual, you know, gases in it, but it's fine. Now we are here 50 kPa, but it's 350 degrees. This will be cooling down slowly, right? when this temperature will be dropping, obviously the pressure will be dropping, right? So as we go, we'll be topping up with CO2. For now, manually, I'm gonna probably write that code in a second just to do it on its own. While will be happening, and the temperature stabilizes this in the range that we can actually plant something, we're gonna start planting all of our fern. So what we need is effectively another 2 IC chips, a grow light. So the grow light gonna be about, it's this frame. I'm gonna say, yeah, this way. So slightly moved on the side. So the power line is centered. This is gonna cover all of that, even probably these frames. And the reason is when you're gonna get additional hydroponics beds over here, it should be fine. Now, I'm gonna put IC chip over here to turn it on and off. We gonna yank cables from here. Obviously, we'll need to do some more cabling. Right? This is 45 degrees. Yeah, it's the priming of that room. It's taking toll. Uh, Possibly adding like a duplicated, like a parallel section could help it, but it's fine. Normally, when we'll be adding topping up, it won't happen like that brutally. What do you have? You have nothing of interest. I'm going to traders because some of them might have the pill. I could do it if I had fern, if I remember correctly. Yep, I don't have fern, so yeah, there's that. So either way, so for the growing plants, it's very simple code. It's effectively this is hash ID for the grow light, and it starts, keep it on for 10 minutes, turn it off, and keep it off for 5 minutes. The reason it's effectively those times is pause. Unless they change it, but I think so. This is light 8 and 5, so fern is a little bit different. But I think potato was 10, 5, no, 5 and 3. They changed it. So one of the recent update did change this a little bit, but I'm interested more in a fern. Soya bean, which was 10 and 5. Okay, that's for soya bean. Excuse me. But we'll be looking at fern mostly. Potato's gonna adapt, but fern, it's 8 and 5, right? So 8 minutes. Okay, edit. So we're gonna change this to 480, and I'm gonna confirm. We're gonna export this. So that's one chip. Stop processing. And the other one is for something different. So import, edit. Right. So now we're gonna actually do a code that will be topping up the CO2 in a greenhouse. And it will be very similar to the code that we have for our nitrogen loop. So the code for the nitrogen loop for the cooling, right, is this code, which pretty much is based only on the pressure, and it constantly operates the filtration unit if the output pressure is dropped below certain level. And it's also the set release latch or trigger latch, right? This one will be similar, but we care about two things. One, the minimal pressure, and two, the ratio. So minimal pressure is when pretty much priming the room, what we did manually over there. So this is the minimal pressure of 50 kilopascals. However, the SR latch is based on the ratio of a carbon dioxide in the output, right? So we want to keep between 10% and 5% of CO2. You know, this part of code, line 9 and 10, effectively pretty much goes that no, it's gonna actually pause the operational module or move it. Sorry, it's not gonna pause it. Actually, it's the other one. It's gonna force it constantly run. So as there is no logic code, it's the reverse logic of like pausing it. So this is like if I want to force it operational, right? There are reasons why I might do it. The other block over here, it's effectively checking if the pressure output is below or out, below the desired value. If it is, it's force operational, and this one is effectively a Schmidt trigger combined with this one. So you know it effectively will try to stabilize the ratio of the CO2 within the room between those values. Okay, yeah, that's it. There is no configuration. I just drop it, and it's probably gonna shut down when the 50 kilopascals is achieved. Now, I'm gonna add here in this one and this one. Now, I'm planning to add another grow lights with different configuration, and this will be problematic. This is gonna operate all the grow lights on the circuit. So later on, we're gonna modify this code to have actually grow lights on the dials, so we can set them up. But that's what we need for now. I'm gonna borrow. Actually, no. Can I disconnect you? Yay! Operating tools over glass. It's a bit of pointless because I actually don't need that one. I'm gonna do something that might be a bit of excessive. But I'm gonna eject that nitrogen from that pipe or mix it into the room. And the reason I did that is to speed up cooling, but also raise the pressure. So this is idle because the pressure goes up. How are we looking? We have a problem.
Health critical.
That problem. I'm thinking about leaving this hill in the background. You just see this like on approach. Oops. No. I'm still looking for that pill. Okay. That will be it for now. We're just gonna be waiting till this settles so we can plant the plants and we can get some oxygen and hopefully not die.